is set, and so you could use the weather as a great way to describe that. So for instance, if you were describing the weather as being sunny and cold in New York, that would help people understand and really see where you are. So that's one great thing to do. Another thing is you can think about the weather and maybe think of an idea for the plot of the story. So how could weather help you think of a plot?
So think about all the things we talked about, conflict and the plot. You have a conflict, so how can weather create a good plot or remember a conflict? Vinny?
Maybe the weather could affect the story like somehow, like maybe someone's like running but he falls and that's like
Falls in what? Falls in what?
Like falls off like
snow.
falls off a cliff and that's a conflict.
Yeah, I think falling off a cliff would be a pretty big conflict there. Yeah, so if you've ever seen, like on the Discovery Channel, how they show this really dramatic footage of a wildebeest or a gazelle or something running, and a lion or a wolf is after it, and they trip over something and sadly get eaten, then you know that this natural setting can have a big impact, and so can the weather. So for instance, let's say that your conflict is that somebody is trying to outrun the villain who's trying to get them. A little simple, but maybe a big snowdrift ends up trapping them, and you can use interesting things like the weather to provide obstacles. So for instance, like a snowdrift or anything else, maybe a bunch of hail or sleet could cause somebody to slip. So observing things like the weather and observing people can give you lots of ideas for characters in your stories. So for instance, if you know somebody who's really loud and bubbly, then you could turn that person into a character. Or if you know that the weather is really snowy and that there are big blizzards everywhere, you could turn that into an obstacle for your character. So here's an observing activity. Look around your classroom. What do you see? Narrow your focus. So find one object like a globe or a potted plant or a person like your teacher to focus on. Observe the object or person. What's one thing you can tell me about them? And how could that lead to a story?